here. I am definitely the alumni dinosaur. I graduated in 2010, but I'm really happy to be here. LBSA has had a huge impact on my life, and I'm really happy to continue to see this club grow year on year. So before we get started, I just wanted to ask a couple questions to the group just to help me understand who's in the room. So how many of you in the room are new to LBSA and this is your first meeting? Wow, this is great. Awesome. How many of you are juniors and seniors? Okay. And then freshmen, sophomore? Awesome. How many of you are transfer students? First in your family to go to college? Wow. And how many of you would you say are financing most of your college education, either through loans and grants or part-time? Yep. Okay, that's awesome. Okay, great. Well, I'm going to give you all a quick bio on myself and then have 3 key pieces of advice for you all. So my name is Ashley, as I said. I'm half Colombian. I was raised by my strong single mom, who's actually here, and my so it kind of worked out. And I came to UC Berkeley. I was also first in my family to come to college, and like many of you here, I also financed my degree on my own. And I was very much set on coming to UC Berkeley with the intention of getting into the Haas Business School and being able to get a job in corporate America after graduation. While in LBSA, I was very involved. So I was on the board for several years, first as IT operator, then as VP of Community Affairs, and then finally as VP Finance. For every summer internship that I had, I actually interned at Google. Luckily, through LBSA, I was introduced to Inroads as a freshman, and that landed me a job at Google. And this was before the Bold internship program, so I was able to actually start that pipeline for LBSA to Google, and let them be our corporate sponsor. It's great to see that they're still here, which is awesome, yes. And so I graduated from Haas, and then after graduating from Haas in 2010, I moved to New York City. While I was there, I worked at Goldman Sachs for a couple years. After working on Wall Street, realized it wasn't for me, so I came back to Google in 2012 and worked there for about 3.5 years as a financial analyst, working across various different business functions. I decided, though, at that point, after about 5 years of work experience, that I ultimately didn't really want to become a CFO. That wasn't my aspiration, and so I decided to go to business school, and through joining Management Leadership for Tomorrow's MBA prep program, which definitely, if you guys don't know about MLT, please look it up after this meeting. It's a great organization, and also there's a great career prep program that I wish I knew about in time when I was an undergrad. So I did MLT MBA prep, and because of MLT, I was able to get into a top 10 business school. So I enrolled at the Kellogg School of Management at Northwestern in Chicago for about 2 years. While I was there, I decided to really explore my interests in the social impact space, the healthcare space, venture capital, and startup space. While I was in business school, during my second year, I actually launched my own startup in the healthcare space. After doing that for about 11 months, I decided to close the startup because it was just too early and was not going to be successful. So after that, actually, I went to join another healthcare startup as a product manager, and that was definitely my dream job. I was really excited, and after being there for a couple months, also realized that that startup was not going to succeed, and so it also shut down. And so at that point, I decided to just kind of take a step back and decided to come back to Google again. So it's like my 5th time coming back to Google. And decided, so now I'm in a internal strategy function at Google, specifically focused on driving revenue strategy for our fastest growing business, which is the small medium business ad sales. It's about a $60 billion business for Google. And although I'm also still working with Google's healthcare company, Berkeley, as a 20% project, so my eventual goal is to go back into the healthcare space when the industry timing is right. And so in terms of pieces of advice for you all, so I have 3 pieces of advice. The first one is to be resilient. So when I was a freshman in LBSA, I really wanted to be on the board. And I don't know how you guys do board elections now, but back in the day when I was in LBSA, you would have a board election, and basically the first election would be for president. All the presidents would come up and do their speech. If you didn't win, you could like run for SVP external, and then if you didn't win that one, you could run for SVP internal. And so eventually I ran for every single position my freshman year, and I didn't get any of them. And I remember when I was coming up for my 9th or 10th speech, I just was so embarrassed. I was like holding back my tears, trying to convince people to vote for me, and nobody, I obviously didn't win. And I remember going back to my dorm, back in Unit 1, and just crying, saying, I don't want to go back to LBSA, and like, I don't feel accepted. And I, the next day, did get a call from the new president. He said, hey, Ashley, there's a position for IT operator open if you want to take it. We'd love to have you. And I said, well, I know nothing about IT, and I don't really know if I want to, I don't feel like I'd be welcome at LBSA. So, but, I decided to, take on the challenge. I was like, I really want to be part of this group, so I want to make an impact in the board. And so I took the position, taught myself how to make websites. And, that was a big lesson. I think I would say that was one of my biggest first failures at Berkeley. Obviously, since then I've had many more failures, like, my failed startup or leaving another startup. So I think for me, what's been great about that experience and, being able to say that I really built my resilience or hustle foundation in LBSA, because while I was in LBSA, a lot of my friends were also going through a lot of different challenges, and we all really worked and helped each other to reach our full potential. And since graduating Berkeley 9 years ago, I can confidently say that I haven't found a similar type of community like I have with LBSA. We're a community that hustles hard, but we stay humble and we always lift one another forward. So I want to just continue to keep that community alive. My second piece of advice is to continue to be curious. So there are so many courses and opportunities in Berkeley. So really take the time to invest in yourself now. That I want to also say that it's so important that you guys do as many different internships as possible while you are in school. So I know there's going to be situations where you may, get a Big 4 internship and then keep going to this Big 4 every summer. I would encourage you to try to do different internships in different companies if possible, and also think about, and I know it's hard because a lot of us have family obligations and financial obligations, but if there are unpaid internships or things that you can take now, please do it. Please invest in yourself now. I think it's sometimes hard, especially for people from our background, to think about taking those unpaid internships or opportunities because it's hard for us to think long term, but remember that you are your best investment. So please continue to just always invest in yourself. And so finally, my last piece of advice is to remember to be introspective. These 4 years or 2 years at Berkeley are going to fly by, and it's really such an amazing place where you can really throw yourself into academics, extracurriculars, different types of internships. Take the time when you go home for Thanksgiving or for winter break, give yourself one day and just reflect and say, okay, this semester's over. What class did I love the most? Which one did I not like? Which board position did I really like? And why did I like that specific board position? When I woke up in the morning every day, what was the first thing I wanted to do? What was the first email I wanted to respond to? Just thinking about that will help you really build that introspection, help you understand what your passions are. And your passions are always going to change and evolve. Remember, your career is a journey, not a destination. So the more that you can build that muscle now as an undergrad to really be reflective on why you like certain things, it'll help you make decisions easier later on. And so now, after giving those 3 pieces of advice, I just want to leave a couple final remarks. So first, I just want to talk about Haas. So please remember, I will say right now, out of everything in my life, the thing that I had the most anxiety about to this day was getting into the Haas Business School. There was so much stress, and I don't know if it's probably the same, but I remember when I was in LBSA as a freshman, there was like nobody had gone into Haas, like 2 people or something from the LBSA community. And I remember just being so stressed out about it. And, luckily I was able to get in, but, I just remember it feeling very, I was just so anxious about it. But in retrospect, at the end of the day, what really helped me and has helped my career since leaving Berkeley has been really the internships I had, all of the LBSA board leadership I received, and just kind of that work experience. So I'm not discouraging anyone from not applying to Haas. I definitely think it's a great program. But if you are interested in business, just taking the business classes is fine. So I really just want to emphasize that because I do feel like there was a lot of stress when I was in your shoes, and so I just want to make sure, especially for those freshmen, that you guys remember that. And then finally, so these are all the photos of my life now. Because I realize now that all my best friends in my life are from LBSA, which is crazy. So just a couple months ago, I actually was in Paris visiting one of my LBSA mentees who's basically become a younger brother to me. And 2 weekends ago, I was down in Los Angeles for a wedding for one of my friends who I met in LBSA, and there was 10 of us from LBSA there. And even just this past weekend, I saw some of you at this party, but Natalie, who's leaving, she's the current alumni president, is moving to Los Angeles, and it was an LBSA party. And I brought some of my non-LBSA friends to the party, and after we left, so many of them were saying, wow, those groups of people are so inclusive and they're so nice. And I'm like, yeah, no, honestly, the community is so inclusive and warm, and it's just been great to really see myself, originally, I always thought about LBSA, and oh my gosh, it opened so many doors for me professionally, but it's really been a very strong network for me personally, and so I really owe a lot to LBSA. And so just, I'm excited for all of you guys to go through this journey, to really make this community something that's lifelong for you. I think it really will be. And please just, take advantage, get to know one another as much as you can, join committees, do the board, whatever you can get involved with. And just remember that to be part of this community, but also to continue to give back, because we only rise together when we lift each other up. So, thank you.